Hello and welcome to Scale to Seven Figures and our $1 Million Fireside Chat. I am Lisa Anderson, Strategic Business Advisor, Virtual CFO with Anavo Transformation Solutions and your $1 Million Mentor. And I am excited you are joining me. Scale to Seven Figures is an interactive group of small business owners in the business to corporate, and business to government markets who are ready to scale their businesses to the next level. Our group is an opportunity to share, learn, and grow together without competition. Each week, I bring tips, tactics, and strategies through our $1 Million Masterclasses and our $1 Million Fireside Chats. If you are not familiar with us, head on over to www.scaletosevenfigures.com and check us out. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy our next powerful conversation. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Scale to Seven Figures, and happy Wednesday, happy February, and happy Black History Month. I want to thank you all for joining us. If you've been here before, then you already know that we stream from many different locations. We're streaming from LinkedIn, we're streaming from YouTube, and we're streaming from Facebook. So let me know where you are listening from, where you're tuning in from, and let us know what you think about the content for today. And also, please share this with your colleagues and other small business owners, because as you probably know, my mission is to help 1 million achieve millions. And through the dissemination of this information is one of the ways that I am helping to achieve my legacy goal. I am Lisa Anderson, Strategic Business Advisor and Virtual CFO with Anavo Transformation Solutions and your $1 Million Mentor. And again, I just want to say happy Black History Month. It is unbelievable that we are in the second month of this year already. Time just continues to fly by. I seem to be repeating myself over and over again as it relates to how time is passing. But the reality is time waits for no one, really. It really does not wait for anyone. It just continues to move on. And so when we start to think about our goals, our objectives, and things that we're trying to achieve, at the end of the day, the answer to the question is we just need to get it done. We need to get it done because time is moving on, and we cannot waste it. We cannot waste time at all. So I had an opportunity to tag up with our legacy builders over the course of the last several weeks. And one in particular, I had a chance to talk to today. And one of the things that we are doing as we have closed out January and we're actually now in the month of February, is we are making certain that we keep our fingers on the pulse of our growth and our scale and achieving the objectives that we have put in place for 2021. And so one of the things that we're doing is we're keeping a goal tracker. And that goal tracker is something that provides us with an opportunity to keep our key performance indicators in front of us to help us measure the revenue objectives that we're shooting for the year, as well as where we stand currently and how what the gap is between what our objective is and what we've actually realized. And let me tell you, these companies are on fire. They mean business. They are doing the doggone thing. So one of my clients that I talked to today, I'm really excited about this particular client. I'm excited about all of them. But this one in particular, I'm very excited about. In 2020, during the pandemic, she actually experienced 67% growth in her business, which was phenomenal. And this year, she is targeting to certainly increase that. She wants to hit a couple of targets. But when we took a look at how she measured in the month of January, the way that the amount of revenue that she collected, the profitability of the business, she is actually on track to surpass her monthly goals, revenue goals, and this is actually going to be the year that puts her on the $1 million mark. And if these things continue to operate consistently, and this becomes a trend, this will be her $1 million year. And we're really excited about that because she's been in business since 2014. And she kind of plateaued at a certain level, but now she is about to hit that $1 million mark. And we're really excited. I mean, I think it's very important that you monitor and measure certain things, because what you don't monitor can't be measured. That's number one. And then number two, what you focus on grows. And so our objective over the course of 2021, in terms of making this a champion year, is making certain that we keep our finger on the pulse of the things that are extremely important to us, so that we can make certain that we are creating the successes that we want, and that we are achieving those key performance indicators. That's the only way that you can make certain that you're going to hit your goals, is to know what the goal is and to keep it in front of you. And so that's what we do in Legacy Builders, in our business accelerator, is that we focus on the key things that are extremely important to help companies scale. That's number one. And our overall objective is to grow, scale, and build our way to legacy. That's the objective. Legacy is all about sustainability. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on this entire month of February in honor of Black History Month. We're going to be talking about growing, scaling, and building legacies intentionally. We're going to be talking about that. But most specifically, we're going to focus on building wealth in Brown and Black communities. And I think that's extremely important, because I'm going to share a few things with you in a few minutes, and you'll understand why that's extremely important, that we focus in on building wealth and legacy in Black and Brown communities. But that is our focus for the month of February in honor of Black History Month. So today I am going to start the conversation with that in mind, and we are going to start building legacy now. That is one of our themes. That's our main underlying theme behind the things that we do in my business, is to help companies build legacy now. Don't wait until you get 5 years out, 3 years out, 1 year away from wanting to retire from your business opportunities to do something different. You want to start building legacy today. You cannot wait. Your legacy can't wait for you to wait either. So before I dive into the conversation about building legacy, I want to share some statistics with you as it relates to the small business community in general, and then statistics as it relates to Black-owned businesses also. And so this information comes from the Small Business Administration's Office of Advocacy. And some of the statistics have changed a little bit. So this comes from their 2019 census that was recently reported, and with some updates for 2020. And so some of these statistics, you probably heard me talk about them before, but some of them have changed. So I was really excited about some of them, and in others, I was a little concerned about. So here we go. When we think about the small business community in general, the small business community. So what is a small business community? The Small Business Administration defines small businesses as any entity, for-profit organization that has 500 employees or less. And so when we look at small businesses in general, we're looking at that size, from one employee, one person organization, all the way up to 500. And so when we look at the number of small businesses that are in the United States today, there are 31.7 million small businesses in the United States today. And when you dig deeper into the small businesses, you recognize that small businesses actually make up 99% of all businesses globally, period, here in the United States. 99% of all businesses here in the United States are small businesses. 81% of small businesses have no employees. 81% have no employees. So that means there's a whole lot of solopreneurs in the small business space. And then when we take a look at how those solopreneurs, those single entity organizations, those organizations that don't have any employees, so they may hire consultants, or they're just solo independently operating. When we take a look at that number grew Since the Great Recession, that number grew by 25.7 million. So what's happening in the workforce is that a lot of people through disruption, through challenges that are happening in the marketplace. I saw this happen through sequestration in 2013. We saw it happen in 2008 when the market crashed, and now we're seeing it as a result of the pandemic. A lot of people are concerned about their destiny and creating their truths and their flexibility, their freedom, their financial sustainability. They're concerned about that. And so they're leaving jobs and they're starting businesses. So business growth, small business growth is on the rise. So as I mentioned before, what that means is there's a whole lot of solopreneurs in the marketplace currently. And when we also further take a look at the statistics of small businesses, only 7%. It used to be 9%. So I used to say, our objective is to help more small businesses enter into what we call the 9% club. But that number shifted because there's so many businesses that are entering into the marketplace. That number shifted from 9% to 7%. So what does that mean? Only 7% of small businesses earn $1 million or more in annual revenues. Only 7%. 7% of 31.7 million businesses earn $1 million or more. And so those are some statistics that we are working to change through the work that we do with our clients and through the work that we do through our Legacy Builders Business Accelerator. But let's go a little bit deeper. Let's talk about the state of the union as it relates to Black-owned businesses. So when we take a look at Black-owned businesses, Black-owned businesses make up 2% of the total small businesses at large. So Black-owned businesses only represents 2% of the 31.7 million businesses. 58% of those businesses have reported that their businesses have been in financial risk or distress as it relates to the pandemic. 58% of our Black-owned businesses are suffering as a result of the pandemic. And 44% use their own cash. 44% use their own cash to finance their businesses. So they're not leveraging investors. They're not leveraging financing opportunities. They're using their own funds. And in a lot of cases, they're not paying themselves. And then less than 50% have a survival rate of longer than 5 years, less than 50%. And so again, these are startling statistics. These are things that I really want to change. And I do believe that these things can change through conversation, through collaboration, and through consultation. Those things, these statistics can change through that process. So that's why I'm focusing in on that this month, is because I believe that we can make a difference through these conversations. So at Novel Transformation Solutions, we serve and support primarily the small business community. Actually, all of our work is in support of the small business community, whether we are working directly with the small business or if we're working with one of their mentors to help build up the small business, or if we're working through a government-funded program to serve and support the small business community. 100% of our work is geared towards serving and elevating, increasing the economics of small business. However, when we take a look at the statistics of who we've served over time, more than 80% of our customers have been Black-owned businesses. And so we have a lot of intel, a lot of information, a lot of insight on the inner workings of Black-owned businesses. In fact, I'd like to say we had the opportunity to take a look underneath the hood and really see what's happening with the engine. Is there enough oil? We really had an opportunity to take a look at that. And so what we've discovered as a result of the work that we've done with Black-owned businesses is that there's a few things that are missing that is preventing them from really pushing the needle on business and really scaling their way to legacy. And so here's the things that we've seen. Number one, they don't operate with a $1 million mindset. I always like to say mindset is half the battle. And if you're going to pursue bigger, larger, greater opportunities, you've got to have the mindset to pursue that. And a lot of business owners, a lot of Black-owned business owners don't have that $1 million mindset. They also don't have $1 million game plan. I can't tell you how many companies I've gone into to have a conversation with, and they have not put a strategic plan or a business plan. There's no plan in place at all. They're just operating by the seat of their pants. And that's not a good thing. When we actually step in and start to help companies build out strategic plans, that changes things, that shifts things in a significant way. And so that's one of the missing things is a $1 million plan. The next thing that's missing is a $1 million mentor. What we've learned through our work and through the work of others, some of our colleagues as well, and then also the statistics in the marketplace is that companies who engage strategic advisory, companies who engage mentorship, companies who engage resources to come in and help them strategically move assess the business and move in a positive direction, those businesses grow by 170% faster than other organizations, and they have a success rate that is phenomenal. So the companies that are struggling, that are not making it their way to legacy, they're missing that $1 million mentor. The next thing that they're missing is a $1 million team. I mentioned already how many small businesses there are right now. Greater than 80% are solo. It's just them and their business. But let me tell you, you've heard me say this over the course of the last several weeks, is that business is a team sport. If you're going to build your way, let's say first, scale your way to a million, to and through a million, and then build your way to legacy, you've got to do it through building a profitable team. And so that is what's missing as well, is that they don't have a $1 million team. The next thing they don't have is a $1 million proposition. So a lot of times, when you're operating without a strategic plan, you're operating at the seat of your pants, and what's happening is you're hustling. You're hustling and you're grinding, and you're just pretty much putting anything out there and hoping that it will stick. But the companies that are successful, that are scaling their way to and through a million and achieving their legacy goals, they have $1 million propositions in place. They plan it, they test it, they put it into the marketplace, they focus on the growth of it, and they watch it explode. And so, again, what the thing that's missing is that $1 million proposition. And then the final thing that is missing is the $1 million intention, the $1 million intention. And that is the big, big goal. What is the big goal? What is the end game? What is your exit strategy? Again, it's another one of those questions. I can't tell you how many companies I have talked to that don't have an exit strategy and never think about it. It's only a thought when they're getting to the end of the road and they're ready to exit, they're ready to retire. But throughout that journey, they never think about it. And what I have to say to small businesses, and especially in our Black and Brown communities, is you got to start thinking about your end game today. Every day that occurs in your business, every action that happens in your business, every decision that you're making from today to the last day, all should be leading yourself towards your legacy. Everything should be measured against that legacy goal. And so you have to have an exit strategy in place. Even if you don't exit the way that you intend, at least you have a plan and you can start building the business to achieve that objective. So, for example, if your plan is to one day build the business that is filled with value so that it is can be sold to someone else, to another company or organization of interest, then you've got to start building value in your business now. You can't wait until 3 years out because it's too late. So you have to start building towards that selling proposition so that when you do sell and you do exit, you're exiting with a nice piece of change that is giving you a return on your investment for having built the engine for however many years that you've been in business. So that's another missing link, and an extremely important missing link is that $1 million intention. So, however, 100% of Black-owned businesses, 100% of small businesses also they started business because what they desire is freedom. They desire flexibility. They desire financial stability. They desire to build something that can serve themselves and their families for generations. Those are the desires. When we survey business owners, when we sit down and initially start putting together their strategic plan, we ask them these questions. Why did you start your business? What do you want the business to do for you? What do you see in the long haul? How do you want to exit the business? These are all critical questions, and we don't move forward with any business without asking those questions first. Because if I don't know where you want to go, I can't help you get there. And so we do ask those questions. And through those conversations, that's how we've learned that that's what the desires are of the business owners, to have freedom, flexibility, financial stability, and wealth that can surpass themselves and feed themselves and their families for generations. And so, you can't just want to think, wish for those things without putting certain things in action to make them become a reality. And so, what I know to be absolutely true is that if you want to build generational wealth, if you want to build a legacy business, you must start with the end in mind. You absolutely must start with the end in mind. And you have to build your way every day toward achieving that legacy goal. When we take a look at the different phases of business growth, there are 6 phases. And from launch to legacy, there's 6 phases. Launch is the first phase, legacy is the last phase. And in between, there are 4 other phases. So there's launch, there's livelihood, there's lifestyle, there's leverage, there's latitude, and there's legacy. Those are the 6 different phases. And so as you're starting to build a business, you don't want to stay in one place. You will plateau at some point, but you don't want to stay there. You want to know what you're looking to achieve to get to the next level so that you can continue to build wealth, you can continue to build value, and you can continue to build that asset. So you have to start with the end in mind. What is the legacy goal? What do we want at the end of the road? And what you want to do is you want to start that conversation now. So I like to say, this is one of the quotes that I use often in a lot of my speaking engagements, as well as in my book. It's also in many of my newsletters. I talk about it a lot. And it is this: the pathway to creating secure and sustainable freedom, financial freedom, resides in building a healthy and sustainable $1 million business. You have to strive to get to and through $1 million. And there's a few ways that you can do it. It can be simple or it can be difficult. It depends on how you plan it and the type of resources that you have in place to help you get there. So I want to talk a little bit more about this process and what exactly is legacy. What is legacy? So this is my definition of legacy. Legacy really can be anything that you want it to be. It can be anything you want it to be. But what it is actually is it's a goal or achievement that surpasses you personally. So it's bigger than you. It is something that you're building that is becoming bigger than you. It is the impact that you are making in the community. It's the impact that you're making in your personal life. It's the impact that you're making in your family life. It's the impact that you're making in the marketplace. It is the financial freedom that you are building. It is a decision. I mentioned that earlier. Legacy is a decision. And every decision that you're making in business is leading or should be leading towards your legacy. And quite frankly, every decision in your business is either going to lead you to legacy or it's going to turn you away from your legacy. One of those 2 things is going to happen. And so you want to make certain that you're measuring your decisions against your legacy objective. And then the final thing is legacy is an intention. It's an intention. And intentions mean that you have to build towards it over time. So that is the definition of legacy. But let's take a look at wealth on the other hand. Let's talk about wealth. Wealth is the thing that you build. It's the monetary value that you build that you are able to keep, right? It's not where you're spending. It is the net difference. It is the amount of money that financial uh, the economics that you're building that you are keeping is equity. That you're building in your business is profitability. That you're building in business is the return on investments. That you're building wealth is the thing that you keep. Wealth is what you grow to levels that, again, just like legacy, surpasses you. But in this particular case, it surpasses your personal finances. It surpasses the finances that you have personally that can help you continue to move forward for years and years and years to come. So that is wealth. So neither legacy nor wealth happen overnight. They don't. These are things that happen over time. They happen methodically. They happen intentionally. And you have to build your way to it. So what I always like to say, you want to start building wealth and legacy now. Now is the time to start doing that. And it's really never too late, except for when you get to the very end of the road. And then it does tend to be a little bit too late because there's a lot that you've got to do in a short, condensed period of time to try to achieve the value that you want out of something if you weren't intentionally building towards that throughout your business life cycle. So if you want to build your legacy that provides you with the generational wealth that you desire, there are a few things that you have to remember. There are a few things that you have to remember. And these are my concepts as it relates to legacy. Number one, your mission is critical. Your mission is critical. That's why I say you have to start with the end in mind. And then you have to plan every year. You have to plan on how you're going to work your way towards your legacy. Some of that is building, expecting, anticipating top line growth and continuing to maintain bottom line profitability, increasing your cash flow. How do we do that? You have to do that every single year. How are we going to expand our reach? How are we going to get a greater share in the marketplace? How are we going to up level a little bit as it relates to the clients that we serve? I always say every year you want to have a goal where you are not going to play small. You're going to play a little bit bigger than you did the year before, which means that you may need to serve somebody, serve some different people. And so you want to do those things, but that all comes as a part of your mission. So your mission is critical. It's absolutely important. It's the first thing on the list that you've got to take care of. The next thing to remember is that your business is an asset. Your business is an asset. And I've talked about this before as well. Business as an asset is an equity building machine, right? So number one, you've got to have good top line growth. Number two, you've got to have good profitability that leads to good cash flow, but you got to leave the money in the business. You've got to leave the money in the business so that you can build equity. Equity is the thing that's going to help you increase the value of the asset that you have as a business. It's going to entice others to invest in your business, whether it is employees, strategic partners, or financial institutions. It is the asset that is going to give you that return on investment when you get to the end of the road. It's the equity that you're building that is going to give you that. The equity is also going to give you the opportunity to invest in other things. It's going to give you the ability to grow beyond your current business situation. You could invest in acquiring another company through the equity that you're building in your business. So business is an asset. And I also like to say money is a tool. Money is a tool. So far too many times we see money as a hindrance. We see money as a restriction. We see money as something that we need to spend, or we spend far too much of it. But we don't really see it as a tool. Money is a tool. And so if you start to think of business as an asset, then you're building profitability, equity, and cash flow. Now you have the money that can be used as a tool to invest in other things. And when you have money, let me tell you, all the companies that have money in the bank have a really easy way or a pathway to achieving or acquiring other money through financing opportunities. So you want to start building money in the bank. So stash some cash. I always say that. And then the last thing is that legacies are built. So I'm not going to beat that one to death. But again, it starts today. It continues throughout your journey in business. So legacies are built. So when we talk about, or when we look at building sustainable businesses which grow their way to legacy, we have to consider this again, the six different levels of scale, and it's what we call the legacy scale that you have to surpass in order to achieve success. So again, there's six different phases. From launch to legacy. There's launch, there's livelihood. Livelihood is one of the early phases of business. And quite frankly, is where 80% of small businesses reside today. And that's in livelihood. These are consultants. These are solopreneurs. These are individuals who are operating solo in their business. They haven't built a team, and they are either achieving earnings that are equal to what they earned when they were employed by someone else, or barely achieving that. And so that's livelihood. The next phase is lifestyle. And lifestyle is when you really have a really good proof of concept. You've got a good portfolio of clients. You're starting to make some really, really good money. You may have hired one or two people, but you recognize that there's much more greater to opportunities in business than where you are right now. And so you start to dream and desire of growth, right? You start to dream of and desire of growing beyond your current lifestyle. So your business is feeding your lifestyle, but you know that there's more to it than that. And that next phase of business is leverage. And that's when you step out of, being what we call the curious curator in the lifestyle mode, and you step into being a CEO and really, really start to build your team. And this is where the $1 million starts to come in. Because again, business is a team sport. You start building a team, and now you're starting to build your way to and through that $1 million mark. As CEO, you are curating others within your business, strategic partnerships, as well as a good payroll to help continue to move forward, which also means that you've leveled up your business opportunities, the opportunities and the clients that you are serving and the markets where you're serving. And then the next phase is latitude. And latitude is where you have a really, really good management team in place. You've built some really good infrastructure. You have generated multiple millions in your business on a regular basis. It's consistent, and you're feeling good amount of growth throughout year over year. But you're at a point now where you've built a really good management team. So you're sitting at a level where you can become the connector. You're out in the marketplace making really, really good relationships to continue to serve and grow the business. So that's the latitude. And then the last phase is legacy. And legacy is where we want to be. Legacy is where we ultimately can sit as the chairman of the board or prepare to exit. One of those two things is what we're thinking about. We're either going to continue and allow the really good structure that we put in place to operate, and we just manage it from a board of directors position, or we sell the business. One of those two things will happen, but either way, we are at that position where we are reaping the rewards of having grown the business. We are getting a return on that investment. So those are the six phases, and you've got to consider that. You have to think about what phase are you in? That's what you want to think of. Where are you right now? And then what are you striving for? What's your next level? What does that look like? What type of structure do you need to have in place? And that's what you should be moving towards. So it's not all about the grind of, what is happening right now. It is making certain that we are in a good place, we're solid where we stand, and we're ready to take business to the next level and know what that is and then how we're going to get there. So you want to make certain that you understand that so you can surpass your current positioning and start to build your way up towards that legacy goal. So I know everybody that's listening knows who Jeff Bezos is, Mr. Amazon. And you probably heard the news that he recently announced that he was going to be stepping down from his position as CEO. So Jeff Bezos completely understands these concepts, as we know. He completely understands them. So let's talk about the history of Amazon for a second. In 1994, when he started the business, he started with a crazy idea and a vision. He had a legacy vision. The legacy vision was to become the biggest bookstore in the world, the biggest bookstore in the world. And that legacy vision has transformed and transcended from becoming the biggest bookstore in the world to becoming the biggest retailer in the world, retailer across all things. And so he set out for a legacy goal, and a lot of people thought he was crazy in the beginning. It took him 7 years to turn a profit in the business, but he kept moving towards that legacy goal. He knew where he was going. He was one of the few businesses in the dot-com era that survived. And that's because he had a legacy goal. He kept pushing, he kept finding ways to make things happen. And so by 2011, so 7 years later, he had 30,000 employees, 30,000 employees. So what does that mean? That means he understood the value of the team. He understood that. He had that $1 million team in place. By 2014, he had introduced the Fire Phone. So what does that mean? That means he understood the value of diversification. He understood the value of expanding his reach. He understood the value of not playing small, of introducing new things into his vision. In 2017, he purchased Whole Foods. And that, let me tell you, when he purchased Whole Foods, he became a disruptor in the marketplace. So he understood the value of investing in acquisitions because he acquired Whole Foods as a component of his business of Amazon. So he understood the value of that. He understood the value of building the asset in business so he could invest in other things. The company optimizes tax impact. So everybody's been talking about Amazon doesn't pay taxes. I'm sure if you had a conversation with Amazon's tax accountant, they would have a different story to share with you. But what Amazon did, what Jeff Bezos understood is that through optimizing his tax position, is that he understood the value of having an A team in place. He surrounded himself by business advisors that helped them protect his legacy, build value, and allow him to get to the position of chairman of the board where he can reap the rewards. He understood the value of that. And then the company opened many fulfillment centers. So we know that they added fulfillment centers in a lot of the major cities across the United States, which means that he understood the value of expanding his reach. He understood the value of expanding his reach. So all of these things are legacy driven opportunities and objectives. And so, as I mentioned yesterday, he announced that he was going to step down. This is what the news is saying. He's stepping down as CEO to serve as chairman of the board. Well, guess what? Him shifting positions is not a demotion at all. It is a promotion. He is moving along the pathway of his legacy plan. He is now chairman of the board, which means that he's built the engine, he's built the asset, he's built the value, and now he can reap the rewards of that value, that $1.7 billion value that he has built in his business, in his asset. He and his family can now live off of that for generations. So Jeff Bezos understood the concept of scaling the business, of making certain that he had a mission in place, that he had a vision, a legacy vision that he was moving towards. He operated with that in mind every single day. That was his goal, was to get to an end position so that he could serve as a chairman of the board, have an asset of value, and he could reap the rewards of that value for years, for generations to come. So let's take some lessons from Jeff Bezos. I mean, he understood that. So let's start to think about how we can do some of those things in our businesses. So for some reason, for some, the legacy goal is to sell. The legacy goal is to sell the business. For others, it may be to pass the business on to family members or to pass the business on to employees, to make it an employee-owned organization. For others, it is to finance the next years of retirement. So when you're ready to exit out of the business and retire, you just don't want to work anymore. The objective for your legacy is for this to finance your retirement. Whatever it is, you need to start working towards that goal now. Don't wait. Start working towards that goal now. This is how you build value in your business, and start working towards achieving those objectives a little bit at a time. So to up level your business and place it on the road to legacy, there are a few things that you must absolutely do. The first one is to plan your vision. You've got to get that legacy goal in place. You've got to write down your objectives. You got to plan for 10 years out. You've got to do that so that you know what your roadmap is. How are we going to get to where we want to go? And you want to communicate that plan. So you want to plan your vision. The next thing is you want to understand your numbers. You want to be so intimate with your finances and other key performance indicators that it's not funny. You need to know exactly where your money's coming from, exactly where your money's going, how you're building equity in the business, how you're building cash flow. Like I said, if you're cash heavy organization, if you have a good amount of cash in the business, there's a lot of opportunities that open up for you. And so you have to be in a position where you're understanding your numbers on a regular basis, not at the end of the year, not when it's tax time, but all year long. So you need to understand your numbers. You need to leverage your resources. You have to get some really good strategic partnerships in place. Um, Again, business is a team sport. So put some partnerships in place where you all can go to market together. Leverage your A team. Put some resources around you that can help to increase and elevate you and the business, that can help you have that $1 million mindset and put that $1 million plan in place. You want to scale your opportunities and stop playing small. You don't want, if you have plateaued in your business, if your revenue has stayed in a certain position, if you feel like you're not moving forward, it's probably because your business has continued to operate in the same place. You want to scale your opportunities. So what's your next level customer? What's your next level move? And then the last thing is to engage a profitable team. As I mentioned, when we're talking about building $1 million businesses, if we're wanting to get into what is now the 7% club, you've got to build a profitable team. You've got to start thinking about how business can operate beyond your current capacity. And so you want to put those things in place. So our clients, the companies that we are working with, are building their businesses with their legacies in mind. We talk about legacy all the time. Our program is called the Legacy Builders Business Accelerator. When we talk about the different phases of business, as you've already heard, we are going from launch to legacy. Everything is legacy driven. And so as a result of that, these companies are they're pushing the needle. They're achieving significant success. We have clients who have grown by 400% in 1 year. And that's because they know what their legacy goals are. They have the plan to put it in place. They know what their next level moves are, and then executing upon those next level moves to make things happen. But then at the end of the day, we're also talking about equity, maintaining equity. And so you want to make certain that you're doing those things too. They are not buying lavish things through the business. They're not doing those things because there's no equity in that. Instead, they are preserving the equity, they're preserving the cash flow. They're actually thinking about, even as small businesses, they're thinking about acquiring other companies. And these are legacy moves. These are investment moves. These are moves that are going to help you advance the needle and sustain your business and grow beyond your current positioning, to get out of that livelihood position and start moving your way towards legacy. And if my clients can do it, you can do it too. If I could do it, I've done it myself. And if I can do it, you can do it as well. So you've got to keep your eyes on your legacy, just as I have done. So keeping my eyes on my legacy has allowed me to do a few things. Number one, is allowed me to build a really nice cushion for my retirement. It has allowed me to put my kids to and through college debt free. It has allowed me to invest in both real estate and commercial, in residential and commercial real estate. It has allowed me to stash enough cash so each of my business opportunities are self-financed. And we do actually have financial partners, and we leverage financial partnerships, but we don't have to. We do it because it just makes sense to leverage other people's money to get certain things and keep cash in the bank. And so we've been able to do that. We've been able to build an equitable business that has value. I sold one business, and I don't know if I'm going to sell this one. I think we're going to end up being a legacy that hands off to the next generation. But those are my goals. I have my legacy goals in front of me, and I've continued to operate them. So as I said, my legacy is my driver. And if you continue to focus in on your legacy, the end of the road, what do you want? And allow every single day in your business to lead you towards that, you can grow your business. You can scale your business, and you can see and sustain your way to legacy. So those are some of the things that we see to help drive business, to help improve the statistics, to increase and elevate all small businesses, but most specifically to help increase and elevate Black-owned businesses. And so throughout the course of this month, the month of February, we're going to continue to educate, enlighten, and provide examples of ways in which Black businesses, Black-owned businesses can continue to grow and thrive and prosper their way to legacy. And so we will be talking about those. I have a series of business owners that will come on with me over the course of the next few weeks. So we're going to talk about their formulas for success and some of the things that they've used that have helped them lead their way to legacy. So in the coming weeks, my guests will be talking about those things. But in the meantime, I want you to think about a couple of things that may be missing in your business that can help you continue to move the needle. So I have a couple of questions for you, and I want you to think about these, and I want you to really be honest with yourself. And then I want you to consider how you can close the gap in these areas. So the first question is, do you have a solid strategic plan in place? A solid strategic plan that you actually revisit and follow on a regular basis. It stays in front of you. So do you have a solid strategic plan in place? That's number one. Number two, do you have a solid network that you can tap into, leverage, and lean upon as you continue to go to market, expand your reach, and scale your opportunities? Do you have a network that you can leverage? Do you have money metrics that you are monitoring in your business for success that you take a look at on a regular monthly basis? Do you have that in place? Do you have a plan to expand, to scale your opportunities, to expand your reach, to serve in other markets? Do you have a plan for that? Do you have the right team in place to help you succeed? And that would be the team that is helping you deliver your services to your customer. And that's also the team that is there to surround you, to help support and protect your business, you and your business. Do you have the right team in place? So I want you to think about those questions. I want you to think about where you have gaps. And I want you to think about what you need to put in place. What's your first step? What's your second step? And what's your third step to shore up on those areas so that you can start moving the needle on your business and see your way to legacy. So I hope you found this information to be important and enlightening and insightful. I will be sharing this again. More information. We'll be taking a deeper dive into this over the next few weeks, talking about our journeys from launch to legacy and some of the success principles that many businesses have followed to achieve their legacy goals. So we'll be talking about that. So I hope you will continue to join us. We are airing at a new time now. We're airing at 5 p.m. Eastern time instead of 4:30 p.m. So please, please, please mark that on your calendar. And I hope you will tune in. I hope you'll be back with me next week as we talk about the 5 I's of legacy building and investing. So until then, until next time, I am Lisa Anderson, your strategic business advisor and virtual CFO with a novel transformation solutions and your $1 million mentor. And I look forward to seeing you back here again next week. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.